moment. We just want to thank everybody for being here. We got a good show and exciting ad to premiere. So Governor will be here in just a moment. Thanks for your patience, and we'll get rolling here in just a second. Thanks.
Is he bringing back? Just kidding.
That is really loud, and now it's really dark. Thanks everyone for coming. Here's what we're doing today, and I've got a lot of folks that I want to thank. We know that America, for a long time, has worked to really create beautification efforts, including there's a USA beautification program. Every state applies, and I think nearly every state gets a grant. And we do a number of important projects, and you can talk to local elected officials and they will tell you that they are actively and robustly involved in those efforts. You might remember that some time ago, and I think it probably was my former boss, it was Governor Gary Johnson, and I think it was both Tourism and Marketing and the Department of Transportation who said, look, we need a campaign so that we're really engaging New Mexicans, which is part of what we do in not only the Beautification America effort, but in taking care of problems and issues and risks in your own backyard. And you might remember that that campaign was called Toss No Moss. And I do think, and to give that governor and my former boss credit, you have to have a campaign. You've got to be really clear about getting New Mexicans and getting your constituents and getting local elected leaders to brand it, to think about ways to encourage people to do something about litter and trash, but also to create guardrails for people who are going to ignore the goodwill of so many of us and the work of local government to clean up their cities and counties. And so you want some, citations or penalties about that if people continue to do bad work in regards to litter. Well, that campaign, we think, needs a refresh. And I also want to just point out, because I've gotten some folks that say, look, you don't need a campaign. You just need goodwill. Well, I don't know if you all have traveled around New Mexico, but I can actually remember the moment that when we were launching Toss No Moss, and my former boss was quite unhappy and cranky. And we got a lot of new, younger people here today, who I'm grateful to see, but we did a statewide bike ride. I don't know, Senator, that might be, and Mayor, way before your time, but we did a statewide bike ride where we were picking up trash, and everywhere, I don't care how rural that part of the journey was, we were all angry and disappointed at the end. I should probably also admit that I only lasted for 5 miles, and those guys rode for like 200 miles. It's worse today as someone who drives the state and travels around and visits as many communities I can. It's far worse. Even more disturbing is I know each of us have seen people just dump their trash out of their car. So this sense of pride is missing, and this sense of responsibility is missing. So this is about launching a campaign. And before I get to the campaign, I want to do 2 more quick things. One, when Texas, which everyone knows, like Toss No Moss, don't mess with Texas, it is still iconic. It is still probably identified, and we plan to beat them at that today. In 5 years, they saw a 70% reduction in litter in Texas. 70% reduction. And the target group at that time was men 18 to 35. And if you can sort of turn the tide that this is an important issue, then the entire groups of populations and the community really steps up, which means local government isn't burdened in the way that it is, and quite frankly, corrections and tourism and cultural affairs aren't burdened. So this can make a huge difference, and it must, because we have a lot of work to do. Now, before I introduce other speakers, there's been a lot of people who have done a lot of important work. And so and I'm sure they'll say it, and they have license. I've been really cranky about the trash. And that's not to be angry at the Mexicans or tourists or travelers, or I got an earful from a group of hunters, including my husband, last week, that our state parks and our hunting sites are a mess. All right, so we got a lot of work to do. That's just all of us. The state has work to do, cities have work to do, counties have work to do, and individual citizens. We all have work to do. But for the last year, there's been a lot of people who have gotten a little recognition, but not enough. I have been as difficult to work with on trash as you can imagine to Mayor Keller. I have said it in unrelated press conferences. I'm not coming to this location until you clean this up. And then he says, well, call the county, we'll all do it. That's a hard thing to have a governor. It's harsh. And I wasn't intending to be harsh. I was intending to create that urgency of the moment. We can't keep letting it be like it is. And I'm lucky. The mayor took it in that context. It's not a personal attack on Albuquerque or the county. It's that we're better than this. We got to do something about it. And as you've seen, the mayor's looked at more green space, more parks, more staff at those parks, more trash cans, asking city employees to do that work. Today, we're going to have well more than 100 state employees cleaning up these surrounding areas and parks. That's effective leadership. Don't ask a citizen to do something you won't do. And I've asked the mayor to be here today because it's been a long year for him where I've brought a bag of trash to a press conference about something else. And he's stepping up, as we expect him to do, and he's stepped up on public safety. And Mr. Mayor, these elected jobs are not for people faint of heart. So thank you for stepping up and caring about this issue, not just in Albuquerque, but statewide. So I appreciate you very much. Give me a round. We created a citizens group called the Santa Fe Council, which for all the elected council members, I apologize that we didn't come up with a better name, but it was intended to be a compliment that recognition tells people you care about issues in your community. And they've put up with us and have been incredible champions. So this Santa Fe group of businesses and citizens and leaders have been picking up trash themselves and have been thinking about strategies to support the city, thank you Commissioner, and the commissioners and the county, right, for doing their part, and they are. And I want to just recognize that for the last year, we've been picking up trash, and it's tons of trash right here in Santa Fe. And they don't have to do that. They can't get their parks and rec folks to do it, but we're doing it personally because we want to be the change we'd like to see in everyone else. So they're here. And I'd like to do a special shout out. There's too many of you to introduce, and for one of you I know it's a little hard, Liz, I hope I didn't call you out. If you can stand, and the leader, the chair of the Santa Fe Council is here today, Mark Duran, have the council stand. And they're doing more than that. It's really about quality of life in our cities, and they're supposed to be ambassadors to tools for the elected leaders in local government. Our job is not to get in your way, but rather to work with you side by side when you need to show that you've got the backing of a citizens group to support you. All right, I swear I'm almost done. This beautification campaign is the result of a lot of critical work by a lot of state leaders. And I can tell you right now, corrections has been on every major roadway for well more than a year. I can tell you that the Department of Transportation has been on every major roadway, and every time I-25, when everyone stopped being mad about the construction, when it looks really good, that's because DOT has cleaned it up. And they clean it up over and over again. We're doing that on I-40. We're doing that on the I-25, I-40 corridors, right where we are in the center of the state, in Albuquerque proper. It is constant work. Every single department's been tasked with the front areas. I don't care where your office is. There better not be an overflowing trash can. There better not be weeds growing out front, and there are. So GSD, you better get out there. You better clean it up, and we are. We're all be the change you would like to see. But to do the campaign, a former mayor has been doing a ton of work. And I don't want to give it all away because we want to surprise you. And so Mayor Chavez, Marty Chavez is here, and he cobbled together a group of pretty impressive folks around the country who love this state, in fact, as much as we do. They love it. They are clear about the land of enchantment. We are not the film capital for a small state of the United States for no reason at all. It's not just the tax credits. Those don't hurt, so let's keep those going. But it's that it's beautiful. The vistas, the air quality, the amazing light here, and it should not be marred by trash. So I want some folks to talk a little bit about this, and now I'm going to introduce the campaign. But also, it's not just a marketing campaign. That's a big part of it. I need everyone's attention. But we're going to ask for more money, for more state effort to clean up. We're going to talk about what we can do to reduce packaging and plastics and have a discussion about that and about where they go. We need more microbes and environmental support in our dumps so that we're not releasing as much methane. We need to incentivize and create ambassador and hero programs. We need to give local governments resources and tools, and we need these guardrails. We're going to need all of the above. Otherwise, that it is just a marketing campaign. It will be all of the above. New Mexico is beautiful, and on our watch, we're going to make sure that it stays that way. And we're going to start by picking it up. And then we're going to make sure that we keep that party going. So without any further ado, and Marty, I'll give you a little more details about the work that you've been doing when I close. But I'd like to thank again Mayor Keller, and I appreciate that you took the time to come up and be with us today. Mayor Keller.
Well, thank you so much, Governor, and always a treat to be up in the city different. Which I used to work in for 9 years, and so
I called you senator.
Yes, that rarely happens except when I come up here. So, I think just to kind of round things up, because I think the governor touched on every aspect of what we've got to do as a state and of course as a city. But we all understand that. At least the reality from Albuquerque's perspective, the small town down the road, Duke City, we have a huge challenge when it comes to trash all over our streets and all over our city. And so I just want to acknowledge that starting place that, when the governor would share her frustration, I'm always in my head like, I know, and I have to see this every day and try and do something about it. And it has just become, I think in many ways, something that has overwhelmed our communities all across the state, but certainly also in Albuquerque. And anytime you see that, the answer is always an all-of-the-above approach. And absolutely part of it has to be public awareness, part of it has to be this notion of individual responsibility for saying that we each have a role to play to keep New Mexico beautiful. And others of it has to do with policy and the things that she mentioned. And so I think I'll just touch on a few aspects that, down in Albuquerque, we always had this program where we'd ask volunteers to clean up for Balloon Fiesta. This has been going on, you probably started it, Marty, but this has been going on forever. And so sure enough, this year we did the same thing. We had 400 volunteers and we picked up 28 tons of trash in one day. And by the way, that's just around Balloon Fiesta Park. So, you know, I kind of had the thought, similar to the governor, of a sense, you know what, city government should role model this. And so we need to do it at our facilities, which we have an open challenge with already, but even every employee that we can make do it. So we actually asked 1,000 city employees to pick up trash all week, and we did. And we ended up with a total, and I want to get the number right here, because we ended up with 38 tons of trash that city employees picked up, including myself, at least 4 bags. And you know, it wasn't even hard to pick up 4 bags worth of trash. So look, this goes to show though, even though, and yes, we are considering doing that regularly throughout the year. So we did this as a pilot, and we got to figure out how to do it with unions and all this other stuff. But the bottom line is we have to do more. But if you drive down, we did it in all 4 corners of the city. And let's just say, I know Councilor Rogers is here in the International District, and she represents that area, used to represent that area. We had something like 500 people picking up trash on Central, Route 66, and you go there the next day, and it looks just as bad. And it's because we can't pick up our way out of this problem. It is incumbent upon us as New Mexicans. This is the lesson from Texas. We have just gotten some bad habits going. And we're going to hear a little bit about that in the campaign. But I was sitting there on the phone in the car yesterday outside of Sonic, because, you know, I have a little penchant for fast food. And so having my, you know, nice burger and everything. And I saw 2 people just in 5 minutes while I was on the phone eating, and just throw trash right out the window. There are trash cans all around them in Sonic. So this is something, it's a little bit like speeding. I would venture to say, you know, and I'm sure I'm part of it too, we're all have these bad habits around littering, or just not doing our part. You know, you see a piece of trash, just pick it up and put it in a nearby trash can. Because the reality is, this has been studied time and time again in America. If every American picked up 152 pieces of trash, we would actually be 100% litter free. That's not that much. That's not even a full trash bag. So this is about us. We've got to change our behavior, both in pitching in to help, but also reducing, find a trash can. So I have a feeling that the one who knocks, you might know who that is going to tell us that we need to be the ones who actually pick up our own trash and pitch in and help out. So with that, I just want to thank the governor for her leadership, because I think, as we all know, we're in this together. Cities, counties, these boundaries. People don't care about those boundaries, and neither does trash. They blow across them all the time, and the bottom line is we've got to have state coordination, and thank goodness we have a governor who has stepped up to actually take action on this issue. So, Governor, we appreciate you. Thank you for your leadership and your creativity.
You're almost going to have as much trash as the Santa Fe City Council and the Santa Fe Council Group. And thank you for introducing Councilor Rogers. We've got several councilors here. I want to also introduce Councilor Faulkner from Santa Fe. Thank you very much for coming. We have Commissioner Green from Santa Fe, Commissioner Hanson from Santa Fe, and we're going to introduce Councilor Garcia. He's going to speak. Make sure I didn't miss anyone. But look, these folks are doing work, and they're going to need some state tools and some state resources. And I think it's really powerful that they're here today. And I'm grateful that you are, because that's going to be the leadership. Your constituents are going to look to you. So without further ado, the guy that helped me pick up a couple of parks is going to share a few thoughts with us. And Councilor Garcia, and I asked him last night. And so he dropped everything, because I really want to make sure that we're highlighting that this is going to be a partnership between state and local officials, as well as awareness for every New Mexican. And I really appreciate that you're here. Thank you, Councilor.
Well, thank you, Madam Governor, and thank you, Mayor Keller, for your words this morning, and thank you for my colleagues that are here, and thank you for everybody in the audience that is here. It's just so remarkable to see everybody that really cares about trash, right? How many folks see trash and just, it's become a common occurrence and you ignore it? Well, we can't live that way anymore. We have to take responsibility for ourselves, and those others that don't take responsibility for themselves, and we have to begin to pick up after one another. Mayor Keller, I'll make a commitment to you every time I'm in the city of Albuquerque. If I see trash, I'll pick it up. But it doesn't stop there. This is where we as a community, as you mentioned, Mayor Keller, need to break those habits, need to break these cycles. And more importantly, we need to ingrain it in our youth to really value our communities, really ensure that they are invested in keeping our communities clean. It shouldn't be just a habit. I mean, we can't blame it on that. That's giving up. And what we need to do is we need to give hope to the young folks to say, this is your community, because in so many years, you're going to be leading the charge, and if you don't change things, you're going to have much more trash to deal with. And so this is where, thankful for the governor to really take the initiative with the Citizens Council to really begin to reach out and engage our youth. As the governor mentioned earlier this summer, we cleaned several parks, several tons of trash in our community's parks, where city staff should have been doing that job. City residents should have been doing that job, and unfortunately that hasn't been the case. So unfortunately that's where local leaders like myself and Councilor Faulkner are having to lead the charge, where we have to begin to hold local government accountable. We have to begin to ask for reports. We have to begin to ensure that the work is getting done. And that's where, if the work isn't getting done, I appreciate the offer from Madam Governor to have resources, because we can't continue to make excuses. We have to begin to make those critical changes, and we have to begin like yesterday. Tomorrow is never, I know we're the land of mañana, but this is not an issue that can wait for mañana. So I appreciate this charge. I really appreciate this initiative. I look forward to getting to work. And Mayor Keller, I got a challenge for you. Let's see who can get their city cleaner quicker. So, with that, I look forward to the announcement.
Thank you. You're awesome. All right, well, if we're going to do some challenges, I mean, we did a statewide fall cleanup. It had 28 Santa Fe public schools, 6 of the Boys and Girls Clubs, 31 state agencies, 5 community-based organizations, including the inmate crews working around the state, and we picked up 1,988 tons of trash. We had 219 cleanup events. We had 10,867 volunteers. We had 693 receptacles installed. We planted 3,909 trees. We cleared 5,103 illegal dumping sites. 949 miles of walking paths improved, and we collected 5,925 tires. 3 of them are in my goat pen. I am going to challenge us to at least, it says triple, we can do 5 times that amount of work as a state and with the Citizens Council. So let's all challenge each other. And with that, I'd like to ask Mark Duran, who helped to create this concept that we can get everyday citizens who, I'm going to pick on some of my colleagues and friends who complain about everything to me. And I said, or to the mayors, or to the city councilors, or to the county commissioners. And I said, well, what if you guys do something? And I didn't mean to be flip, but Mark Duran and this group took me at my word and said, we will do everything as a collective. And I can't thank them enough, and I can't thank Mark Duran for his leadership. Mark.
Well, thank you, Governor. I have to tell you, when the governor first approached me to chair a committee, I thought, oh, great, and I got ready for it, and I was thinking all sorts of things, right? Senate confirmation, all those things, what it might be. So then I met with the governor, and she said, I want you to chair a committee that's never been established before, and the name of it is the Beautification Committee. And I thought, okay, because you can't tell the governor no, and so I certainly didn't tell her no. And then the next process was, I thought, okay, we'll get some structure and format from the governor, and so we went to meet with the governor, and she used the word cranky. All she did was give us a cranky lecture on how we need to do a lot more in the state, and we need to do a lot more as citizens to get this done. And so that was really our charge. And I have to acknowledge our committee, Jackie Lujan and Liz Ray and Priscilla Gusua, Roman Tiger Abeta, Carlos Gallegos Jr. as we got to work, we thought, what are the two things we need to do to change this dynamic? And the two words that came to mind were behavior and youth. And so we knew we needed to change behavior, and that is why this campaign, I believe, is so perfectly in line with that term, is we need to change behavior, and we need to especially do it with our youth. And so what we did is organize, and I have to thank NMDOT, the city councilors, the county commissioners, the superintendent of the Santa Fe Public Schools, the Boys and Girls Clubs. We organized a litter challenge where all of the schools in Santa Fe participated, the Boys and Girls Clubs participated, principals, teachers, academic clubs, sports clubs, all sorts of clubs, and we went to parks in Santa Fe, almost 100 students. The governor hosted us for a reception, and I can't tell you how much that changed the behavior of those individuals. It changed the behavior of us. Picking up that trash and seeing how much trash there were, and I think we ended up picking up some 300 bags of trash at that event. And to see the kids' attitudes, those students' attitudes that night, being at the governor's mansion, and them talking about how fulfilling it was, quite frankly, and I don't mean for that to be corny, how fulfilling it was for them to participate in something like that, that is going to change their behavior the rest of their life. And that's exactly what we need to be doing and continue to do. I even saw the mayor there picking up trash all day. Thank you, Mayor, for that. And so I'll just close by saying this about the governor. The governor challenged me to pick up trash every day that I saw trash. And I think this is a challenge to all of you and all of us as New Mexicans, especially after this campaign. So what I do is every time I go somewhere, I pick up trash. I can't tell you what a burden it is, quite frankly. It takes a lot of time. And then you kind of feel guilty for what's your perimeter, right, of what you're going to pick up. And then you're going somewhere, and then you realize they don't have a trash can. Well, then you find out that you find yourself talking to those individuals about putting a trash can outside their business. And then you start to make a difference. And then on your way back, well, then you have to have somewhere to put it in your car. We'll have a crate and a plastic bag in my car. And yes, and sometimes a picker. But gloves for, I do have some rules. I don't pick up dirty Kleenex. But I have to have some limit to it. But I do this every day. It takes a lot of time. All of us should be doing. New Mexico is so beautiful. Our state is so beautiful, and we're here because it's beautiful. And after thinking it was going to be some Senate confirmation committee, and it ended up being this, I have to thank you, Governor. It's been one of the most fulfilling things I have done in my career, and I want to thank you for your leadership in making it happen and making this happen and causing all of us now to change our behavior and make our state more beautiful. So thank you, Governor.
Kleenex, that's what gloves are for. And we need people to stop doing that. All right, the moment we've been waiting for, as I introduce it, so I know I got to cue everyone. It took a lot of work because what you're going to see is production quality, iconic branding that the world is in love with, and it was done. So first, you got to get Sony to give you licensing. So a big shout out to Josh Greenstein who made sure that that happened. And then it took a lot of work with personal relationships with a number of one in particular, an iconic actor that volunteered and did that, quite frankly, because Mayor Chavez got him to do it. And then as that sort of momentum built, one of the finest, most creative talents in the world, and we're going to introduce him right now, Vince Gilligan, joined the team. So, without further ado, let's roll the message from Vince Gilligan and go right in.
Hey everybody, Vince Gilligan here, creator of Breaking Bad. And you know what I hate? Litter. That's what I hate. You know who else I think would hate litter? Walter White. And that is why when the good folks at the state of New Mexico came to me with the idea of doing an anti-litter campaign that's centered around Breaking Bad, I jumped at the chance. And I had a lot of fun making it. And I think it is for a very good cause because we live here in the aptly named Land of Enchantment. And anything we can do to keep it enchanted and enchanted, we need to do. We need to keep this beautiful state of ours litter-free. And we had a lot of fun making this commercial, and we hope you enjoy it.
You're kidding me. Keep litter out of my territory. Unbelievable. Keep litter out of my territory.
So given the sort of youthful and interesting recognition, we think this campaign goes viral. We think it gets the attention of all age groups. We're allowed to do marketing swag, if you will, to get people really into it. You'll see some of that at the reception. And the last thing before we go to questions and answers, and I'm going to ask all my local elected leaders and anyone else to jump in and just come up here for questions. We have a very robust website, and Lansing, anybody else who can, direct us there, because I didn't write in my notes, you might want to come up here and give it to the press. But look, we're going to tell you, it's interactive. Tell us what parks need to be cleaned up. Tell us where we need trash cans. Tell us where we got a problem at a state park. Tell us what's going on in the forest. Tell us what's going on everywhere so that we can engage in a sophisticated two-way effort and communication, including the recruitment of volunteers and the recognition of ambassadors who are going to keep New Mexico beautiful. So a lot more is coming. So all right, I got folks up here. Mike, you want to handle question and answers? And we want to turn the lights on or not? The ambiance.
Any members of the press have a question? Fire away. Dan, Boyd.
Hi, Governor. Do you have any statistics, or have you worked with law enforcement at all about how many citations have actually been issued as far as littering?
I haven't asked them about that, but here's my instincts. Very few. Now I'm going to start, so I need all the local electeds to take a deep breath. Given, and we are working together on our public safety challenges, and given that COVID didn't help us in this regard, you might think that it might have because people weren't moving around, but it didn't. Because you didn't have folks picking up parks and emptying trash cans in the same way, and right, we didn't have staff out, and I think it also, when people started you had to drive to get your groceries, it didn't help us in any way. But there was also a lot of lessons to be learned about. We aren't doing a lot of those citations. And quite frankly, I think we need to maybe refresh what happens if you get a litter citation. And given, and we should, the focus on repetitive and a more violent crime, it's an area that we haven't really focused on. And I think you should expect for us to look at who can give citations. Park rangers can for litter, local police, sheriff, state police. There might be some other ways to identify, like parking meters, that there's another body of folks, because we got police doing a lot of important work. But I think citing, and you're doing community service. I don't need more people in jail. You either give us a lot of money so that we can hire people to pick up after you, or you're picking it up yourself. And I think we need to really hold, same thing, I saw a group of what appeared to be, I didn't pull them over, because I'm not allowed to do that. But as my police will tell you, the agents, I wanted to, back to back, two kids, cars of what looks to be, high schoolers, just threw out a bunch of trash out of their windows, including a full milkshake. And I was apoplectic about that. They need to be pulled over and cited. Or somebody needs to be able, a reader. We need to figure that out. And I want to be careful I don't get over my skis because that's not written. Nor have we talked to law enforcement about what tools they need, nor have I talked to the local electeds. But that has to be part of this effort. If there are no consequences to kicking over trash cans, throwing trash out of your car, throwing it out of your window after you're done with a construction site, then every other New Mexican is going to be busy, as Mark is, 25% of their time, me too, with picking up trash. And what we'd like to do is clean up the state. We have to do more about making it easier for people to dump their trash too. We have some work to do. But we cannot be responsible for people who are not doing their part. They're going to be held accountable. So I think actually, if I was guessing, if anyone else wants to weigh in, I think the people in law enforcement have had enough too. They are pressured and asked to do so much in this climate where there are a lot of bad habits we need to break. I think they're exhausted by all of us. Now, they didn't say that to me. That's my impression. Given everything that we are doing, we can help them so that this is not an area that they're having to focus on. But I think that citations ought to go out, and I see that Commissioner Hansen wants to come up, but also, when it's trashy, it's like license to have other bad behaviors. Yeah, I've never seen this many cigarette butts in my life. I don't know what's happening. So I do think all of it rolls to good public behaviors. And we have other risks in public. This isn't the answer to all of that, but it is part and parcel with our efforts to be our best selves. And I feel good about that. Commissioner.
So, I think many of you know, I am a huge advocate for Caja del Rio. We have huge trash problem out there. People take their junk and take it out there and shoot it up. And it is one of if you want to see something really disgusting, all you have to do is go up off of Buckman Road or out by Camel Tracks. And one of the things that I have worked on since I've been elected is working with BLM, working with the Forest Service, getting more rangers, because the governor is correct. We need more park rangers. The city has hired some. The county has hired a park ranger. We have one. BLM has 2 rangers now for the northern part, the North Field Office, the Taos Field Office. They need 10 at least. We can't do anything without getting more rangers, and so I completely support that. And I just wanted to share that with you because I understand how damaging this is to our community. So thank you for breaking bad habits.
We've got another question here.
Okay.
Morgan Lee with the Associated Press.
Hey, Morgan.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. This is for you or anybody else, but this is clearly about, litter bugs, bad habits, the messaging. But have there been any discussions? It costs money to go to the dump and throw your stuff out. Are there any discussions about changing that structure?
Yes, and I referenced it just for a second, so thank you for giving me an opportunity to provide more in-depth. In too many areas, if you've got someone who doesn't have $15 or $20 or $25 to dump their load, they're not going to do it. And I also say, because everyone is now dumping illegally, it feels like that's okay. So you just do it too. In addition, things have really changed about what's allowable, and I actually appreciate that by local government, but we're going to have to figure that out. Appliances can go nowhere. Gone are the days that you can take an old TV, somewhere or donate it. You can't take any of that stuff to Goodwill, and I'm not picking on any of those industries. If nobody can use that, they can't have it, I get it. But what happens to all that stuff? Well, it gets illegally dumped. So I am a big proponent, which is why we need resources, and Councilor Garcia wants to weigh in. We need free days, or we need to subsidize it and then come back to it for a year. We need to find a place to do the appliances. This country is terrible at recycling. This state is right in line with that. It's expensive. So places like Maine, I'm not suggesting that that's on our legislative agenda, but I want people to at least, to your point, are we having conversations about this? Are we building support? There are, come on up, Ricky, there, Secretary. There are Maine, they basically make businesses pay for recycling. You have to pay for, that's part of your license to do business here. There are lots of bans on plastic around the country. There are discussions about that at a number of localities. All of those things are gonna, I think we should contemplate like a statewide set of best practices and determine whether we have state bills or state laws and or recognition that this is the expectation for local governments to at least get here. Because otherwise, we're gonna be picking it up, but we can't really change these habits. But your point was, are you having discussions? Yes. Are you planning to, you didn't ask me this, are you planning to put it before the legislators? Yes. This is also to get people to change those habits. And in order to sustain it, we have to make some material changes to how they can sustain breaking these bad habits. Secretary.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you for the question. We are having discussions. In fact, the Department of Transportation is leading the planning efforts for a summit that'll take place in November that will centralize on the local policy, enforcement, and resource issues that are honed in on access to recycling centers, access to weekly trash pickups, access to authorities and the dump sites that they provide. And so rightfully so, we've branded the summit Talking Trash Summit, which makes sense if I'm involved. And so that'll be middle November. We'll be bringing local and state leaders together to try and craft some of those policy and resource recommendations that the governor can weigh in on for the upcoming session.
And maybe one last thing, and come on up, I mean, everyone come up, the counselor, and then I've got the mayor, another counselor. We did a community, cabinet in your community, and we were in Portales, and lots of issues, particularly around, again, public safety. This is not about public safety, but it is all kind of related. And you know what the citizens of Portales were upset about? Trash cans. They don't have any trash cans or trash receptacles. And so I just said, the state will buy them. And initially someone said, it's gonna be $30 million. I said, it's not gonna be $30 million. Because if they are $30 million, then the city of Santa Fe will be buying those. But they're bought, they're there. It is on everyone's mind. I mean, they see it, they know it. They're looking for a little leadership so that they can help us do right by New Mexico. Council.
Thank you, Madam Governor. So as a city councilor, I sit on a body that is city and county, along with Commissioner Henson and Commissioner Green, called the Solid Waste Management Agency. And through the efforts of that agency, we've been able to increase the number of free trash days that we offer to residents. Besides the appliances, the additional issue we have is tires. I mean, we have so many days throughout the year that we allow for folks to have free disposal of electronics, tires, hazardous materials such as paint, etc., green waste during the spring season when folks are doing their spring cleaning. But we can't stop there, and that's where it comes down to resources, unfortunately. And I know that our commission is really looking at how we can help to increase those days by subsidizing the costs it ultimately costs both entities to get rid of these resources. But at the end of the day, it does cost resources. And I'm of the mindset, and I know that our commission is of the mindset, the government should be paying that cost on the front end of taking it up from residents versus having to pay on the back end cleaning up open space such as the Caja del Rio. So.
Go ahead, Councilor.
of a story about how, as a newly elected official, one of the things, my district has a lot of challenges, but one of the things that I saw recently in my district that made me realize how incredible human beings can be. I mean, we're talking about this being a challenge, but there's a community in my district called Tierra Rael, and it's a manufactured home development, and they got sick of waiting for government to help them. And so they took it upon themselves to clean up their own neighborhood. And they came to Councilor Lee Garcia and I, and they were saying it's costing us, you know, $700 a weekend to take the trash that we're getting, and they were clearing out trees. They found a park they didn't even know they had. And so Lee Garcia and I said, this is ridiculous. Why are they having to pay for this when they're actually doing the job that the city should be doing? So this is where government can be where their people are. And the people shouldn't have to come to us, we should be where they are. And so we got roll-offs for them for about 6 weekends in a row that saved them from having to pay for their trash to be taken. And I think that's one of the things that we're kind of missing sometimes, is we don't go to where the people are as leaders. And so I think these leaders do, but I think we could all step up a notch and do a little bit more of that. And I was inspired by this community. They're incredible.
Thank you.
So just on the, the finer technicalities of solid waste, which I know, mayors and city, we love this stuff because it's difficult, but it's also very real, and so I want to share with you a couple of things. The biggest positive change we've made in Albuquerque is we pick up trash Sunday afternoon at parks, right? Because most trash pickup, most usage of the parks is on the weekend, birthday parties, etc. And then you see the, single trash can, but there's like a mountain of trash all around it, and then the wind blows and then it's all over. So thinking about when people use facilities and matching the trash pickup to usage instead of to 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. That's something that we're really trying to adjust and work with. The other thing on a different side is connecting, look, our retailers, we want to really work with our retailers. So this is some good, a trash talking topic that we can have is to invite our big box retailers, because what's happening, especially with Amazon, is the amount of bulk trash is moving to your house because we're all doing more mail order. I mean, whether we like it or not. And so all of a sudden the demands in Albuquerque for trash pickup at residences are way up, and the demands actually at commercial businesses are down because people are purchasing at home. And again, this is part of the post-COVID effect. But re-shifting that is very, very important, but also who pays for that, right? Because in the old world, the business paid for that. But now we're asking residences to pay for that. So it's creating a real rub there. And ironically, the same drivers who used to drive our trash trucks are now driving for Amazon. So there's also an issue there with respect to workforce and things like this. So if you study the closed loop economy, this is white hot space where we could do much, much better. But it's going to require also coordination with the private sector. Last part of that is the appliance disposal. We should dispose them where we buy them. That would make a lot more sense. Take your TV back to wherever, Walmart, and they do it. And the funny thing is they're eventually going to charge the city to do it. But it's actually much more efficient than you dumping it in the Mesa or you putting it in your home recycle bin. So we would take that trade. And so those are the kinds of things we've got to work on.
I love that. That's very we could find a way to, hey there, how are you? Get up here. I was recognizing your work over there.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Thank you for this press conference. Again, I'm Larry Chavez, Superintendent of Santa Fe Public Schools, and the governor challenged us last year to really jump on board with this effort, and we took that challenge around with it. We had over 300 students last year alone picking up trash at all of the parks around Santa Fe, and this year we upped the challenge. All 28 of our schools are picking up trash tomorrow, K through 12. We are not having our students do it alone. I've challenged district staff to adopt the school and get out there and support our students, our staff at those sites, to continue to beautify not only Santa Fe, but our schools. So those that are listening, Mayor Keller, we challenge any other school district to match us. Yes. And there you go. And we will continue that effort. And we had a great reception and a really wonderful event last year, and we look forward to picking up trash this year.
Right, Superintendent. And, I recognize not so much you, but your students, which I know you prefer, but it takes leadership that designs an effort so that students can participate. So Superintendent, thank you. You got it. All right, we got a Commissioner Green.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, everybody, for being out here and covering this as an important subject. You know, when we all go run for office, nobody thinks the most important thing that you're going to do is going to be working on trash issues. It certainly wasn't what I thought I was going to be doing, but it was, right? The first and most important issue that I had to deal with for my district was in the Tasuki area. We had the community, there was a breakdown in communication between the tribe and Santa Fe County, and it forced the closure of the convenience center on Tasuki Pueblo land. And it took close to a year to negotiate this, but it's the persistence to say that this needs to be convenient. It needs to be, it's free for tribal members, and so it works to make it convenient, free, easy, and that became, you know, my first ribbon cutting. It was like, yay, hey, an accomplishment. So it was, you know, it was rewarding for me. Additionally, the Tasuki Neighborhood Community Association has been doing monthly trash drives up and down the Tasuki area. And so if you're driving up Bishop's Lodge or you're driving around that area, you'll notice it's a lot cleaner than it was a year ago. The convenience made it a lot easier. It becomes a partnership with Santa Fe County. Santa Fe County brings in a portion of our community outreach and comes back behind these groups. They leave a bag of trash that they've spent a Saturday or Sunday picking up on the side of the road, and then on Monday morning, Santa Fe County comes and picks up all that trash. We also have allowed them to deposit trash that's picked up on Saturday for free at that convenience center. So there's a way where the partnership of community organizations and the county or the city can go make things happen in the trash space. And I encourage us all to think about the best practices. Certainly not Santa Fe County is not the best, but we have some great practices. Albuquerque, the school district, everybody up here has a way to make this work. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Governor. Nicole Rogers, District 6 City Councilor in Albuquerque, and I just wanted to bring a community voice. We're working in our district on alley projects and beautification of our alleys. We have a lot of dark things happening in our dark alleys. And so we are working with communities, specifically the South San Pedro neighborhood, who has taken this project and really taken ownership of cleaning up, keeping their alleys clean. Reina Luz Juarez is one of our amazing activists that, this is Eloisa, her daughter. So I'd like to give some space to community to talk a little bit about how they're taking ownership of their alleys with city and county help, bringing them supplies. But really, we already have like 6 alley projects going where we're beautifying, putting murals and all kinds of other things. So I wanted to give some space to community. Thank you.
So my name's Eloisa Juarez. I live in the South San Pedro neighborhood. I'm on the neighborhood association. Been there for a long, long time. I was born and raised there. I'm with IDHQC, the International District Healthy Communities Coalition. We've been trying to do like alleyway beautification for about 23 years. Really glad that we started doing it. One of the first things that I worked on, I'm only 28, but I helped redesign the Jack and Jill Park. I remember advocating pretty hard for the little skate park that we had there. But we've done a lot. We've been going since around April. Some of the more amazing things that have happened, we've got mulch donated, so we've been able to spread that through the alleyways. We've been doing syringe pickup stuff for years now, and it's just incredible, like the how big of a difference something like mulch, just wood chips makes. There's all kinds of studies that we've put out. We have a Facebook page just on the difference that it makes, like in the climate, in walkability, like all of that, and then just the way that it looks, it's incredible, the transformation that it makes. So we have 3 alleyways in South San Pedro that we've been working on, 2 that have been going in Fair West, 3 that just got started in the Alvarado Park Neighborhood Association, just the way that it's spread so quickly has made a huge difference too. One of the things that we've had going for a couple years is the walking school buses, and the students get to walk through the alleyways now, and it's so much like fulfilling and beautiful, just all of the positive things you could possibly say when you see students like, oh my gosh, this one's mine, like this is my painting, and this is my little block with, look at my fruits are growing, and it's awesome, and they get to do that every single morning and share that with their friends and teachers, and I think the attitude that's engarnered in the community is really what we've needed, different from just changing habits. The ability to change habits comes from that, like, this is I identify with this space and I want to keep it clean because I care about it in the way that I care about my home. Like, I don't want to live in a dirty home. I don't want to wake up next to trash next to me. And if I know that I'm going to be walking by that and my art is there and my friends are going to see and stuff like that, you really don't just clean it up, you keep it clean. You get mad when you see other people dumping trash. You don't even think like, oh, we have these, like the garbage disposals or the dishwashers and the appliances. You don't even think to just go throw them somewhere. You're like, I need to get rid of this properly because it's going to be trash in my yard, in my neighbor's yard. And it's like not just embarrassing, it's gross. It ends up, like we were saying, attracting not just bad habits, but even worse behavior and unhealth, all of the ways. So it's really, really exciting that we've, it's exciting that we've made it this far, like in government, because 20 years in the making, like, it's something that we've really wanted to do.
Oh.
Hi, Governor. When you spoke about the multi-pronged approach that New Mexico needs to take, you spoke about needing to talk about what we can do to reduce packaging and plastics. And I know you touched on this a little bit, but what does that look like, and does that include a statewide ban on plastic?
We don't know what it looks like. We want to start the conversations with policymakers about what's possible here, what can we get over the finish line, how can we have more incentives for businesses to take appliances, great idea, Mr. Mayor, and for both commissioners and city councilors, we're developing relationships to get folks to reduce packaging and plastics. So it could be incentive-based instead of a prohibition or a mandate. So I'm not that far along on where we ought to land there, but it is definitely part of the problem. If we've got plastics and bags and they're blowing, we got to figure it out. But I don't want a one-size-kind-of-fits-all solution. I'd like us to really think about stuff that incentivizes people to be their best selves and to create these opportunities. But I am open to a number of possibilities. I agree with the last speaker who's changing. She's the change in her community and neighborhood that we want to see statewide. You do need to change behaviors. We do need to incentivize and recognize people for doing their part. We also need to have, and keep safeguards, guardrails. Daniel, people need to be held accountable who maybe aren't gonna do the alleyways and join a neighborhood association. Okay, but they can't leave trash someplace for the rest of us to pick it up. And so, again, not fleshed out, but I wanted folks here, and thank you for writing about it. This is a much bigger package that's coming, and we're gonna work with statewide folks to make sure that it's a package that we will get over the finish line and will really make a sustainable difference in the state.
Thank you, Governor. The final question from the press is from Jessica at Keller QE, please.
Hi. So 10 years ago, there was a lot of criticism with Breaking Bad, what it represented, drug dealing cartels. 10 years later, the state is now using it, I guess, to promote a message. Tell us why that is and how that changed.
Well, part of it is you need people's attention for recognition, and we were looking around, and even though there's been, I'll use Oppenheimer, so I will oversimplify. There were folks in New Mexico that felt like that film disregarded that there's been real issues here in terms of the exposures to individuals and victims who have never been identified or fully compensated, right? It created that sort of negative response. There were a whole bunch of others that said, it's incredible, the scientific prowess in that state, the innovation, the patriotism, the fact that New Mexicans played such a large role in building the national labs and ending the war. You got a lot of different perspectives. I think that's going to be true here too. That while the storyline can be harsher than we'd like for anywhere, it is a storyline about we don't have to accept any of this. We can recognize that we can do better, and Walter White and that character is widely recognized. And having a character that may not be your best self can sometimes remind you that your best self is right around the corner. And you know how and I'm not defending the whole thing. I mean, there's not anybody in this room who isn't clear that the country, the world, and New Mexico has a fentanyl and a drug crisis problem. There's no one here. But remember, his wife was dying of cancer. He was doing whatever it takes. He's a teacher. So life is complicated. Storylines are complicated. Issues are complicated. But this is recognizable in a way that gets New Mexico grants, additional recognition for beauty, additional recognition for filmmaking, additional recognition for the best and the brightest from Sony and Vince and everyone else. And by golly, I'm cool with that. Yes. I am cool with that. It's cool. It's a very good question. So good I thought about, it's we debated this, and we should. But in the end, it's cool. And it's all right when you use changed behaviors to recognize that that's a good thing. So let's break bad habits. We're having a reception. Everyone's invited. Like I said, there might be some swag out there. So thank you. And two more quick thanks as we're getting up. Round of applause for Mayor Chavez for getting it off over the finish line. Jean Cocteau has done a lot to open up and welcome us here to do the reception. I want to thank them and their team for including us today and welcoming us. It's pretty amazing. Thank you.